God, I had happy times producing these magazines. You know, a lot of these are my own photographs. I'm Nick Gibbs. I used to be a publisher and editor of magazines. I had been editor of magazines for a long time, for about 30 years, and it was what I adored doing. There wasn't really ever an average day, but and weekends were quite often very much like weekdays. So I would usually start pretty early in the morning, depending how late I'd worked the night before. If ever I went on a holiday or something like that, I'd always be looking for stories, always looking something on the subject, just always thinking about editing magazines and what I loved doing. I remember getting on the bicycle and I remember crossing the road on the bicycle. I don't really remember anything from there, and I must have ridden about nearly, I suppose, half a mile or so, maybe a bit more than that, and I don't remember anything of the accident at all. And the next memory I have was looking up into an old friend of mine's face, and she was saying something about I'd had an accident. I was convinced that I could go back to editing magazines. I saw no reason why. I was making phone calls, but I was finding the communication with the client really hard and really difficult, and I would forget where we were and what we were doing, and my concentration would go. So, I'll forget what question I asked, or, question you just asked, and I'll sort of forget where I was, and I'll just sort of meander. I forget people's faces, their names, and I leave things on trains and leave things behind all over the place. And people say that, oh yeah, I do that and whatever, and they say it at sort of old age or when they've retired. The difference is that for me it's sort of like instant aging. I used to be able to do it. I knew exactly I could have remembered everything of any number of things at the same time. But no, I can't. Losing the ability to do these things.
It's like being a toddler, I'd say, where you keep active and going and going and going and going and going and going, and nobody tells you stop. Your brain's forever running around, thinking, and then you forget the important things because you're so busy thinking about other things. So then you don't focus and concentrate on the important thing because your brain is so focused and wired just of thinking of something else.
My name's Rob Cushall. I'm a brain injuries case manager. My job involves working with adults that have had brain injuries. I also have the personal experience of my brother's brain injury. An aspect of his brain injury is that he does have quite a lot of memory issues, and that's been something that we've experienced from the day of his accident through sort of 7 years later into his own rehab. So obviously that in day-to-day situations, your memory issues are mostly related to your sort of functioning, your ability to meet appointments, remember to speak to people, to operate items within the home.
I think there's two aspects really where memory loss affects my clients' day-to-day lives. There's the practical issue, so forgetting the things that you've done, forgetting the things that you need to do, or appointments that you've made. So there's the practical aspect, and then there's the impact that it has on your relationships and your shared memories with people that you love, people who you are friends with, your children. And I think when there's a disparity in your memory of events, that can have a real impact on your relationship.
There's lots of focus always on the functional difficulties of memory, remembering appointments and remembering people's names. But I think the impact that has on how somebody feels and the impact that has on them as a person isn't always appreciated. The trauma of his original accident is quite a significant thing for us all. As a family, that was quite a traumatic incident in our lives for all of us. For my brother, he doesn't really have a recollection of that. He doesn't have a memory of that. All he has is a memory of who he remembers himself to be before the accident. And his appreciation of where he's got to, it isn't the same as ours. So he's quite negative thoughts and quite negative feelings about where he's at the moment, which completely conflicts with our experience of being really happy that he's still alive and with us, because it wasn't expected that he would survive the accident.
The only memory I have of the whole situation is leaving my front door to go to work that morning. Even that's not really a clear memory, but that's what I did every morning. March 19th, I would simply say I was living in my mum and dad's, walking to work, minding my own business, and then memory, I said, you're talking months and months and months later before you have a clear, proper memory of something you can actually say 100%, yes, that was right. My mum, even now, when I've asked her questions about it, will try and divert it, avoid the subject, but I feel because she looks at it and thinks, oh, that was years ago, and it's too painful for her to go there. When it comes to actually talking about that whole time in hospital and that whole situation, it's not a place she wants to go.
I have tried, having lessons, and I'm doing lessons. Most people think I'm perfectly well and normal, and so they treat me that way, and I find that really difficult, and that's true of lots of illnesses or diseases or whatever, handicaps that are invisible, and I think, and sometimes there is no realization of that, and people aren't aware that people just can't do some things, or their life has changed, and so get frustrated and just there's lack of understanding of how difficult it might be.
And sometimes, like I said, I can be running for a bus or getting a bus, and I'm like, "Thank you, driver. Please wait a minute." Yeah, and he's like, "Why have I got to wait? What's going on?" And then I show him my card, and he's like, "Oh, you don't look like you've got a brain injury. You wouldn't know." I said, "I fully respect that, and thank you for telling me that. But just because it doesn't look like I have, if I'm saying to you, please stop a minute or something, I'm doing it to help and protect myself. You know what I mean?" And in shops, people do get very impatient and very frustrating, because when you've got a queue of people behind you and you put the wrong pin in, people do get frustrated. It's like, "Oh, come on, what are you doing?"
I think it's difficult for a member of the public to know that somebody has a brain injury or any other disability, but I think there should be more awareness that not all injuries are apparent, so that somebody might have a hidden disability and that might be a brain injury. And I think really from a public's awareness point of view is just a level of understanding and allowing somebody some time, being patient, and just showing somebody a bit of kindness when they are struggling in a situation, that actually there might be something going on for that person, and all they need from you is just a bit of patience and a bit of kindness, and then they can get through it.
And it's difficult because I don't really know who I am. I can go through an interview like this, and I'm really not sure who I am, and I'm not sure if that is a consequence of not being editor of a magazine, as I say it all the time, of having my vocation. I'm not sure if it's to do with, not being the person I am, a psychological issue that I can resolve by finding this perfect vocation again. Or if it's something deep inside my brain, which is irreparable. Well, I really like the look of it, and because it looked like one of the Thunderbirds vehicles, and because it was close to the centre of town, and it was cheap, much cheaper. One of the best things that has happened, really, in the last 5 years is the sort of quite chancy decision to come and live in Oxford on a narrowboat. The moment I arrived here, my brain sort of became active. And Oxford has been perfect because there's so much to do, so many people to talk to, and yet has a sort of peace that you don't find in London. And so that has helped me then concentrate on things that I want to do. It's, I can research articles, I can interview people, I can go to the libraries and, go through lots and lots of topics. And it means that I do have a much more hopeful, look at future, that I've found somewhere which is sort of perfect for what I want to do, and opens up so many different avenues. And it gives me so much more hope for the future, and makes me think, there is a way that I can find a new meaning to life.